somebody's in big trouble. And that somebody is the face of the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. himself, because he just teased and maybe even leaked that we're going to be getting his version of Iron Man versus his version of Doctor Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So you better be sleeping with both eyes open, because that man Sniper Feige got you in his sight. And hold on a minute, player. Kevin Feige ain't safe either, because he just let some shit slip about Doomsday that gave me a brain blast. Because you know me, if I get a little bit of crumbs, I'm gonna make a 5-star meal. And I'm gonna give this news 5 big dooms. Doom. But either way, me and you know what we gotta do. We gotta talk about it. And boom! Man, you know what? Doom! You looking for this? Over the last couple days, Robert Downey Jr. has been teasing that he's been doing some reading for Doctor Doom and Doomsday. And let's talk about the most important thing from this video. Why does Robert Downey Jr. have an iPad kid iPad? But in this first comic that RDJ shared, the West Coast Avengers wind up in Latveria and encounter a young, fake Doctor Doom while going on the run from communist Hungary. Funny enough, Doctor Doom isn't in this story at all, but it definitely feels like they're going to be taking some type of plot point from this run because Robert Downey Jr. has been wearing a bunch of different shirts featuring the West Coast Avengers in interviews. Now, more on what I think they could be adapting from this run later because we got to move on to the next video. Roll the damn clip. Because this is the one that got my wheels spinning. So we got him reading the OG Secret Wars, but on top of that, we got him reading Iron Man, The Legacy of Doom. Now, these two stories are a lot more interesting than the first one. In that Iron Man comic, Doom and Iron Man are forced to team up to stop Mephisto from bringing about the end of days, the rapture, basically. But obviously, a whole bunch of shenanigans happen and they end up having to fight each other at the end. Oh yeah, Robert, you done messed up, playboy. Because now Marvel Studios is going to be looking at this video like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Because this is some shit I've been saying from the jump ever since they announced this, by the way, 1 year ago. Ever since it was announced that Robert Downey Jr. was going to be returning to the MCU alongside the Russo brothers and that he wasn't going to be returning as Tony Stark, but Victor Von Doom, which by the way has fans split right down the middle on how they feel about it. Some people hate this, some people love it. Me, I'm going to let them adapt it, whatever. It's the MCU, it's not the comics. I can go read Doom comics to make myself feel better. But you don't bring Robert Downey Jr. back unless he's tied to Tony Stark some way, somehow. And thanks to the Russo brothers themselves, they basically confirmed that, yeah, this is the case. Tony Stark is going to play a huge factor in the Doom storyline for Doomsday. Specifically, they said that his death in Endgame is going to play a huge factor in a Doom story. So you know they can't resist bringing back Tony Stark as multiple different versions of himself. I have a strong feeling that they're going to be doing a Tony Stark Robert Downey Jr. versus a Doctor Doom Robert Downey Jr. And I mean, it does thematically make a whole lot of sense for the MCU. They definitely could do something very interesting for an MCU adaptation. And rolling back the clock to when RDJ revealed this image of his birthday party, a lot of people assume that this could be our first look at Victor Von Doom's face. And while this was officially confirmed to not be the case, it did get my mind spinning and gave me a brain blast. And take a listen to what I had to say in the past because it still applies now. But I'm thinking more or less this is what Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom is going to look like with that hairstyle and everything, the mangled face. And we even got a little look at Robert Downey Jr. celebrating his 60th birthday party already sporting that hairstyle. The black and white aesthetic is just reminding me of one of the biggest narcissists he's already played. But this look also kind of looks like he's looking in Iron Man Volume 2 #1, where he came back looking not as mangled as he used to before. I mean, it kind of looked like, look at this and look at this. I mean, it just looks like a crazier version of it, but I'm seeing the vision. Now we just gotta wait to see what his Doctor Doom suit actually looks like with the mask and everything, and I need him to be wearing that mask most of the time, please. I think they're on the right track with this concept art, which the Russo brothers said was fake, but we all know that's some bullshit. Because this look right here is a perfect Doctor Doom. Just look at all that aura. Inhale it. It's still crazy to me that it's Robert Downey Jr. under that mask. I want to know what his voice sounds like. Is he gonna have an accent? I really need him to be moving like King Baldwin. But anyway, on to the theories. You don't bring back Robert Downey Jr. and not have him connected to Tony Stark, the face of your franchise, for no reason. This has to be connected. But now the question becomes, how? Why is there a Victor Von Doom out there that has a resemblance to Tony Stark? Well, I got a pretty crazy theory. Because Victor Von Doom and Tony Stark in the MCU are kind of alike. They really just want to protect their worlds, their universes, the way they want to. I have this really weird feeling that Doctor Doom is going to see Tony Stark, the savior of his universe, and be like, bet. He's going to pull off the Thawne method, the face-off method, and say,
I'd like to take his face off.
for my new face, I'll take the one that saved the universe as I saved the multiverse. AKA, I'm better than you. You know, I initially thought he was just going to be a Tony Stark variant, and I think that kind of works for the MCU. But they're saying that, nah, this is Victor Von Doom, so that's the only thing that makes sense to me. I don't know what else they could do. Ain't like this man Doom has a fetish for stealing other people's powers and shit. But why? To create his own perfect world. But I think we ain't done yet. Because when Robert Downey Jr. got up on that stage, notice how there was a bunch of other Dooms surrounding him. And yeah, well, a lot of people can say, oh, those are Doom bots. No, it's all regular people wearing masks. I think this was a hint at where they're going with the story. Because mind you, what was this movie originally going to be called? Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. I think they're going to take some of whatever they were going to do with Kang, but give it to Doom. And give us a Parliament of Doom, which is essentially just a bunch of different variants of Doom coming together similar to Kang, and having MCU Doom take Kang's place for Secret Wars. But I mean, I've heard crazier theories. So yeah, not only do I think Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing multiple different versions of himself in the MCU. He's kind of like the Eddie Murphy and Nutty Professor. But I think we're getting multiple versions of Doom, which leads me to Fantastic Four First Steps. So this is a spoiler warning real quick. If you haven't seen Fantastic Four First Steps, get the fuck up out of here. But in that post-credit scene, we only get a back shot of Dr. Doom talking to Franklin Richards, where he said, mask on, fuck it, mask off. But we never actually see if this is actually Robert Downey Jr. Now, one thing we are led to believe and are supposed to assume is that Victor Von Doom is from the Fantastic Four's 828 universe, because they gave us all those little teases of the empty chairs of Latveria at the Future Foundation summit meetings. But notice what Franklin Richards is doing to this Doom. It looks like he's touching his face. Could this be how he gets his RDJ face off that I talked about in the past? I definitely think that's the case. And the reason I think he's doing that is because he's found out that their universe is in danger due to all of these incursions. Now remember, in that older theory video I made, this plays into the savior complex aspect of Doom, which he relates to Tony Stark. Because Doom, being the narcissist that he is probably frustrated with the fact that Reed hasn't figured this out yet. And don't forget that Doom is also a master manipulator, so he probably figures that the only way for his plan to save the multiverse to work is to convince the heroes of this other world that he is a savior, a different version of Tony Stark. So I think that's the real reason why Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doom, even though the real Doom is a completely different actor underneath that mask. He's essentially Trojan horsing the MCU. And it looks like baby Franklin Richards, who, as you know, is one of the most powerful Marvel characters of all time, is going to be playing a huge factor into how he wins. Because there's two characters in the Secret War storyline that haven't been introduced yet that I think are going to be replaced. One of those characters being Molecule Man, who in the past I've theorized could be the Scarlet Witch, especially if they wanted to adapt Children's Crusade and have the Young Avengers show up. This one could make a lot of sense, and she's a reality warper. It looks like they're going to be keeping her dead for the time being. But then I remembered this leaked concept art that is definitely fake. My mind immediately went to Bob, who, if you don't know, Sentry found out that he can control molecules and actually subdued Molecule Man himself in the Dark Avengers run. And obviously the last choice was Franklin Richards. I didn't think they would just shoehorn that in there, but it looks like that's the route they're going for. So he will be replacing the Molecule Man role. And we can't forget when RDJ shared that he was reading this comic, which I think they're definitely going to be adapting elements of this, which is a comic centered around Valeria Richards and Victor Von Doom, going like it's a universe globetrotting type thing, but for Franklin Richards instead. Now, in case you don't know, Victor Von Doom is actually the one who names Valeria Richards and delivers her for Sue, and he plays a uncle type figure, and he does it out of narcissism because he wants to prove that he is better than Reed. He can do this better than Reed. But along the way, you know, he gets a little mushy for Valeria and he just loves her. So I can see elements of that being adapted here. And I also think this is a fun way to have that Reed and Victor Von Doom rivalry, which is essential to Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars. Now, don't forget that Doomsday was initially supposed to be Kang Dynasty, but that's since been scrapped. So I think they're going to be adapting elements of Kang's storyline for Doom and Doomsday. And Doom and Kang have a very interesting dynamic in the comics. You know, at one point Doom thinks he's related to Kang, but that actually ends up being Nathaniel Richards, who's related to Reed Richards. But I think thanks to Kang, Doom's going to find out about Loki being the one that is holding the multiverse together. And I think Loki is going to take the place of the Beyonders in the Secret Wars storyline, who are these all-powerful beings that essentially have the power to sustain the multiverse together. And when Doom finally wins and creates Battleworld, he becomes God Emperor Doom, sitting on a very interesting looking throne. And who else is sitting on a throne? The throne, which, by the way, Loki's entire character arc was wanting a throne on Asgard and getting one at the end of the multiverse, becoming a hero, one of the greatest character arcs. And since we know that Loki's going to be in Doomsday, what better way for Doom to get that throne and have it be the center of his new battle world that he creates when he wins? Which, by the way, he probably will at the end of Doomsday. But he's not going to get to that throne alone, because I think he's going to create some type of like miniature civil war amongst the heroes and anti-heroes by promising them a place on their battle world, like Namor. And Magneto I can see as easy people for Doom to manipulate and have on his side and create his own multiversal version of a cabal. And that's how we get our mini Avengers versus X-Men / Fantastic Four. Because don't forget, Alan Cumming let it leak that he was going to be fighting Pedro Pascal's Reed Richards, which means the X-Men from this universe most likely are going to be fighting the Fantastic Four. And if I had to guess, it's because they're chasing after Doom, who has Franklin. And then the Fantastic Four and the X-Men all show up in the ship in the post-credit scene of the new Avengers, aka the Thunderbolts. And that's when heroes across different multiverses, different variants start teaming up to try to stop Doom. And that's how you can get this. Call me crazy, but you can't tell me my brain don't work. But hold on, you hear that? The nurse wants me to go back to the home. Moving on, because we actually got Kevin Feige explaining the roles of the Fantastic Four and X-Men in Doomsday. While speaking with Marvel.com, Kevin Feige had this to say: the fun of an Avengers movie is introducing people to each other and seeing how very different personalities get along. In the case of a movie that involves the threat of worlds literally colliding, it's fun to see them visit each other's homes. So with the Baxter Building set, let's say it had 4 or 5 people in it at most in the Fantastic Four movie, and it's got a heck of a lot more people in it in Doomsday. It's a thrill to see that interaction. It's surreal for me, who's been around for 25 years. I'm gonna stop you right there, Kevin, because you just leaked that other characters from 616 Earth 19999 are gonna be showing up to Earth 828, further solidifying my theory, especially since Reed is the one who created the bridge between multiverses. And on top of that, we also learned that Chris Hemsworth Thor is gonna be playing the second lead in the movie, which I think further solidifies the theory that he's going after Loki. And Doom will use Loki's love for Thor to get him off that damn throne by threatening him or killing him. And since Loki wants to see the sun shine on them again, he will oblige. Oh yeah, and it was reported that Reed lead was going to be the lead of the Avengers. Again, people I think are misconstruing that. I think they mean lead of the movie, not lead of the actual Avengers. And yeah, it makes sense for Reed to be the one to know about multiversal bridges and shit. Oh man, I can't be any more excited for Avengers Doomsday. I need them to have Doom putting the fear of God in these other heroes. I want the movie opening up with him just devastating other heroes, destroying them. Maybe they do adapt everyone's favorite panel, but instead of Thanos, it's Kang. But all I know is they better do Doom justice. Otherwise, I'm going to be in your walls, Kevin Feige. But either way, that's all the new news we got about Avengers Doomsday. Let me know what you think about my thoughts, theories, and opinions down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.